The guy yesterday said he was just going to do it himself, and he changed his mind. Well, I'm going to be doing it for him. And we are going to actually do the build for him. He changed his mind. So let's get this thing torn down. We're going to test everything outside of the case like I had originally intended, and then we are going to try and get this guy all built out. Oh, I hate these clips. They're just difficult to get off of here. I like this cooler, but I very much dislike these clips. Like, this cooler is actually pretty cool. I like it. Pun intended. Alright, so the first things first, we're going to get this thing disassembled. We're going to get the CPU out. We're going to toss the CPU in a new board. We're going to toss a fan connected to it. And we're going to see if we get any kind of life or activity out of this. Alright, so we got this out. We got a testing power supply. CPU. Got power. And we're going to hook up a single fan to it. There's no lights over there. Look at that. So we immediately get lights, we get a spinning fan. That's all you need to confirm that CPU is dead. Or the motherboard is dead. And now we're going to try and do a quick comparison here to see if we can't figure out exactly what failed. So let me get this motherboard out, and then we'll take a quick look. Let's pull this RAM out of here. Yeah, this RAM being cockeyed is still like something that's a little bit hilarious to me. Alright, so let's move that out of the way. Alright, so the first thing I want to look at, I actually want to look at the back here. So I now know exactly why this computer died. So this just goes to show why it's so important to be extremely careful when you're actually putting stuff in a computer. So looking at this right here, there is a diode missing. On this computer, there it is right there. Look at that, it's right there. It's not ripped off. So you just gotta be super careful with this kind of thing. So again, to reiterate here, when you're installing a motherboard into a case, you gotta check everything. You gotta make sure you're not like ripping stuff off. More than likely what happened with this, because right here, there is supposed to be a 3-point diode that goes from here to here and here. That has been, that has been completely ripped off. More than likely what happened is the standoff that goes in this hole, when you put it in, slid against this and ripped it off. So this is what it's supposed to look like. Because again, there's the same standoff on the new motherboard, and there's this diode right there. So just be very careful. If you're not sure what you're doing, either talk to someone, look up videos, but be very careful. And if it doesn't fit, don't force it. Not when it comes to computers. That's your tech tip for the day. So this is another thing that I didn't notice. This guy did so many things wrong with this build. So like the first thing he did wrong is the screws that are in here for the AMD cooler. He used that in each of the corner holes to physically mount this into the case. He stripped out some of his standoffs. So he ripped off some capacitors and some diodes off the back of the board. He installed his NVMe, and he didn't actually remove the blue adhesive, or not adhesive, the blue protective covering when he installed it. This guy was literally batting 1,000. The other thing is, like, he needs a screw for this M2. He didn't have that. He was just having a rough one. You know, I don't have a problem with MSI motherboards, to be perfectly honest. Haven't had many fail. Not like the ASRox. My ASRox is my most failed brand. We got that on, and then we get this in. This guy's gonna like lose his mind that he's gonna get this computer back today. All right. So other things I need to take off of this. So another thing this guy did wrong originally is when he installed these, like, I know it's kind of hard to see, but at the top of this screw, there is a slot for a Phillips head screwdriver, or your crosshead screwdriver. He installed them upside down. So, bunch of little oopsies along the way of this build for this guy. Oh, another thing that was incorrect was the memory was in the wrong slot. All right, that should be everything off of this board. Good there, we're good there. So this is the bad one. So when he comes in later today, I can pull it out and say, all right, here, let me show you exactly what killed your motherboard. And unfortunately for him, when he sends it back, they're going to deny his warranty. And like, I'm gonna have to break that to him, but it is what it is. We're going to educate this person on exactly how this is actually supposed to go. Cable's going out the back. I honestly wasn't expecting to do a build today, but here we are. One thing that I know is missing from this case is all of the rubber grommets from here. I don't know what he did with them, but they are just gone. One thing that I always recommending, here's another tech tip. When you're building a computer and if it comes with a metal I/O shield, the tabs that you're mostly going to have problems with are going to be if it has a tab over a USB port and then the Ethernet port. What's going to happen is when you put this in, you slide the motherboard in, this tab is going to get pushed down, and you're no longer going to be able to access either of these ports. What I recommend doing is taking this, bending this up. So that way when you slide the motherboard in, you don't run into those two things. And then afterwards, if you're concerned with conductivity, just push it back down onto the actual I/O that you're trying to like prevent damaging. All right, so now we know that there's that little capacitor on the back of the motherboard, or the diode, excuse me, on the back of the motherboard that we want to avoid damaging. Install this I/O shield real quick. Make sure that's in place, and then we're not going to slide this board across. We're going to just get everything lined up. All of our I/O is lined up. Everything is nice and clear. So you can access all the ports. Now we attach. Someone I used to work with always used to say, like, you don't need to worry about putting screws in every single standoff point to keep it in place. And that's true. You're not worried about necessarily keeping it in place. What you are doing is you're giving electricity the shortest possible path to a ground possible. That is the other part of it that people rarely seem to think about. So if you suddenly get a short coming from here that wants to go all the way over to here, it has to go through all these components. If you don't have this, either this standoff screwed in or this one screwed in. So from here, this would be the shortest point to ground. Actually, in this case, it would be this one. So let's say you didn't install the screws on this side. It would have to go past these components to get to these grounds. Just something to think about. And of course, this case doesn't actually support a standoff there, which is actually kind of interesting. I'm not used to seeing that. All right, so we got that. Next, we're gonna do the cooler, and we're just gonna actually add a little bit of thermal paste to this, because while it does have some thermal paste, it's not a lot. And then once you install the cooler on top of this, it will compress this and spread this out the rest of the way for you. As long as you have a nice flat cooler, which, you know, we all should. So, next, this logo goes in that top corner. We're just going to line it up here, get both screws started, and then we want to try and screw it down as equally as possible. Nice. Something that should have been installed in this computer from the get-go with these fans is a splitter. And with this, with these dual fans on here, you want to make sure that the fans themselves spin at the same speed, so you're not creating a pressure differential. Now, one of the things that this guy did originally that made these heat shields on this memory be bent was he pushed this down as far as it would go and then tried to install the memory. Whereas what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount this slightly up a little bit so that it's not making contact with the memory that's sitting underneath it. There we go. And we're nice and, yeah, it doesn't look quite as nice, unfortunately. But it's going to not damage the components underneath it, which is, I think, arguably more important. Now, let's talk about splitter. You're going to see these cables poking out the back. That is my splitter. And then this fan, this cable, and this cable are both going to run to that. So now, when the computer turns on, it's going to think it has a single fan attached and run both fans at the same speed, which is literally the way they are designed. Next, let's do some fan cable management here. We have a total of 3 fans. We got 3 fan header cables here. I'm going to pull these to the back. And what's nice is we can run all of these. There's a system fan header up here. All of these fans are actually designed to be daisy chained. So we can have one fan that powers another fan that powers another fan. I would not go more than, I think, 5. It's either 5 or 6. And then you're putting a little bit of a heavy voltage load that you don't necessarily want to risk on a single fan header. But, and you know what? I might actually, I'm going to split these. So we'll have 2 and 2. There's 2 fan headers there. And now, before we do anything else, let's do a little cable management. So this is what we're looking at so far with almost all the cables installed. He did give me 2 more additional drives to install. We have a drive bay down here for 1. And then we have a 500 gig little SSD, which I'm going to double-sided tape to the top of that. But that means I also need to worry about SATA cables. Let's figure out where I'm going to run these to. Actually, I think what we're going to do is we're going to use, so you have SATA cables that have, not only they have a little clip on them, they have 2 different connectors. This one here is a 90 and then this one's a straight in. I like to put the 90 coming out of the motherboard if I can, just to make it look cleaner. But you can use either side. Like, it really comes down to your space on which ones you should actually, what you can use. So this one here, nope, not gonna work. As much as I want it to, it's not gonna work. It's too far. It's really nice. The 90 is really nice if the SATA connector goes like directly into one of these holes, but it doesn't. There's a little bit too much material there. So we have our straights there. So we're preemptively running this cable because we know we're gonna need it. Next, let's get these guys run. So we got these fan cables, and then for now, that's going to be it for those cables. Let's get these guys managed up. Move that out of the way. So those are now cable managed. Let's install our GPU. Ooh, that is tight. For now, we're going to test. Not going any farther until we see if this thing actually works. And you get to come along for the ride. All right, power. We got lights. We're not getting any video out, but that could actually be a couple things. Oh, here we go, VGA. We have a VGA light on. Hey, look at that. It is 100% what the issue was. Let's see if I can put it back and get it back on. Look at that. Beautiful. But all right, let's get this turned off. We're going to install, what do we have here? Windows 10. This guy damaged his key. So, like, when I'm trying to read it off of this, it's all scratched up. I think I guessed it, though. It looks like it's working. Alright, now that that is done, what I'm going to do is get these hard drives installed. All right, and that's what this is going to look like. So I'm just finishing it up now. Thanks for watching that video. You can check out some of the other videos for more tech-related content. And if you want to catch me live, I am on Twitch at twitch.tv/SpecVengeance, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So come hang out, chat, and maybe learn a thing or two. Thanks for watching.